Hello YouTube, I'm Brad and this is WTN Adventures. For our first video ever, we're going to be replacing these A-Pillar LED lights with a more slim dual LED here to match our hood light here. So what we need to do is we're going to disconnect these, rewire through the cowl here. We need to take that off, and we're going to wire it into the LED control system to our switches inside. So stick around and let's get to this. All right, so the first part we have to do is we need to loosen and remove these two T30 Torx bits so that we can get to the wiring underneath. Once the Torx bits are removed, we can lift the cowl slightly and just the wiring so that we can access it once we raise the hood. Next, we need to loosen this with a 1/2-inch wrench. This is run through, so what we will need to do is once we remove the wiring, we'll need to run the wiring up through the mount. Put the nut back on so we don't lose it. Alright, so now that we have the light disconnected, we have the wiring out from under the cowl. We're going to pull these out. Pull it out here. I have it wired in and I have it tapped with the other one on the other side and then wired into the control module. So right now we're just going to cut these off. And then that will allow us to remove it up through the wiring. Yep. I have to take out some of our tape. Oh, so we'll have to just undo these. So now that that's removed, we're going to do the same thing on the other side, and then we will start prepping for the new lights. Now that we have the old light removed, we're going to feed in the wire through the hole, remove the nut and washers, set it where you want. Like usual, it'd be helpful if I had 3 hands. Tighten that down. Tighten this down. Just wobble. So now we have our light here. It's going to get fed underneath the cowl again. And then out through there. But we need to connect our waterproof adapter. You can order these on Amazon. I'll put the link below in the description. So what we need to do is we need to connect these together. What we're going to be using are these water seals with the built-in solder. If you've ever used them before, this is the ones I'm using. And we're going to go ahead and do that. connection. Slide it over. You're going to place the center. You could zoom in a little bit right here. You're going to place the center of the solder underneath the bare wire and bend these out of the way temporarily. Bend that out of the way, bend that out of the way. Place it in, put it in place. I'm going to take a lighter, heat gun, whatever you have on handy, and we're just going to shrink them down. Shrink it down on the wire. It's going to give you a watertight seal. Do the other side. Have it grab. And then once you have the ends connected, put some heat to the center. Hold it there, and then you will see the solder melt around it. Give it a few seconds to let it cool. And then we're going to do the other side. Alright, so now that we have this wired and soldered both pieces with the waterproof connector, we need to now run the extra bit of wire that's going to connect to the control box. So what we're going to do is I have a reel of, we have 14 gauge. I know it's a little overkill for LEDs, but that's what I have. So we are going to solder these together like we did the other two, and then once these are done, we can start tucking everything under the cowl and run it to the control box. So let's go ahead and do that now. We're going to use our pieces that we used before, slide it on, connect these two together. I don't know if you can see that from the frame. My lovely assistant will zoom in. All right. So we got these connected, and now we're going to just heat it up again. And then again, hold it on the center until the solder starts to melt, making that connection. All right, I'm gonna let that cool off. We'll do the second one. All right, so we have everything connected. It's all dry and cooled off. So now we need to tuck it under the cowl that we loosened. So we're gonna just slide this up a little bit. Tuck this back. Make sure you are free of the screw holes and mounts, because we will need to reconnect those. Depending on the gauge of your wire, it's going to determine how easy this is. So now that we're down through here, down through our engine compartment, if you see here, this is my wiper fluid line. I'm going to swing it around there, so we'll just disconnect our waterproof connector, plug it back in. Make sure that's secure and you hear that click. This is our old one. This is actually the one for the other side, so we'll take care of that soon. And then we'll connect both of everything into the control module once we have everything wired. So we're going to move that out of the way for now. And then this is our new wire. So we're probably going to feed it in underneath the ABS module mount. Feed it underneath here just to keep it out of the way as best you can. So let me go ahead and wire that through. We're going to kind of get our measurement of length, and then I'll disconnect it again and then get it, and then cut it, because right now we're still on our spool because we don't know how long we need. So there's our connection and our connection length. A little extra never hurts, so we'll cut it there. Okay, so we're going to leave this out of the way, and we're going to go ahead and disconnect and dismantle the other side, and then we'll be right back. Alright, so we installed the other one on the other side, the same as we did here. Wired everything in with the connectors. I ran mine through underneath the cowl rather than in the engine bay. There's plenty of space. I'm just going to zip tie it and secure it to some of the mounts there to keep it away from the motor of the wiper motor. And then now we're going to come in and meet up with the other side here. So what we'll do is we need to make sure we have the same length. So basically we'll use the same distance that we figured out before. We'll cut. Get this out of the way. Thank you. And at this point, we need to open this up. If you have this in frame over here, we're just going to open up this panel. Do that, don't lose it. Underneath here, we have our 6 different options. And right now we have the old one tied in. So this one, it's just Phillips to secure this. We'll pull these out. They're just your typical U-shaped connectors here. We're going to dispose of that. And what we need to do is now put 2 on each of these, and then we'll wire them up and tie them in, and then we'll do some testing. Okay, so now we're going to run our cables, like I said earlier, through the ABS module bracket. Let's see if we can run it in there. Kind of get everything tucked out of the way. And again, this might be a little easier if I didn't use the 14 gauge, I should say, cable. Be a little smaller, but is what it is. I'm gonna run it along the rest of these wires, so it looks somewhat neat. And maybe people will think I know what I'm actually doing. Looks like we might need to loosen this a little bit, so let's get the wrench ratchet there. It's so close. It's not a 3/8 or a 7/16. The trusty 10mm. You can see it. I just need to get it out of there. Gonna try and use a Allen key to scoop it out. There we go. a little slack for underneath the cowl over by the wiper motor. We're going to tie all that up there, keep that there, and now we're going to swing this around here, up through here, pull that, and now we just have to put our connectors on the end there. Okay, so now that we have everything wired in and tucked underneath there, and we have it up through our module mount, we strip these back. We're going to add our adapter to be able to connect these to the module. So inside I have the A-Pillar lights as my switch 1, so that will be my switch 1 here, and down here it shows ground 1 and positive 1, or source. So we need to take our positives, put them together, and get our connection on, and then we crimp them down. Okay, so now we have these crimped on. We have our two pieces. Give ourselves a little slack here. We have our ground, which is the first, which is obviously black. So we're going to bend that down there. There is a plate underneath there. Want to make sure that we get the piece, our connector underneath the plate, and then we want to tighten it down. Just snug enough. And then we want to pull our cables down a little bit just so it's out of the way, so that when we put our top back on, it will be able to close securely. And now we're going to do the same thing with our power. Underneath the plate, bring it down, secure it. Then we put our plate back on, our top. Put it down. Screw it down. And then we are going to test connectivity. And then we'll kind of button everything up and get it all zip tied down and everything. So all right, let's test connectivity. All right, now that we have everything connected, let's make sure all of our connections are secure and we have power to the lights. So let's go ahead and test them out. Looks good. So now we just need to go ahead and tidy everything up, and then we'll give you a final result. And that's the installation of our A-Pillar pods on our JKU. If you like what you saw here, please like, share, and subscribe. And that's it for WTN Adventures.